Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today here, I'll bring you guys a video on how to scout some very tricky pool first openers. One of which has been a lot more common recently. For those of you who may not be familiar with this, there is a Brazilian Zerg player named Eric who sort of came up with this opener where a natural hatchery looks like it's been taken at a normal time, but there's a slightly faster spawning pool and slightly faster lings, which kind of it's a bit hard to scout and can throw people off when they're playing. So pool first and early ling stuff has been a bit more popular recently. And so I have two replay examples that I'm gonna walk through with you guys. That were sent to me from a student and a friend. So if you know, you know. Yeah, so we'll get started with this first one here. And I'm gonna speed up a little bit. These replays are not gonna be very long. We're just gonna be talking about the pool first. That's it, and I'll be elaborating a lot on what different variations you want to be looking for, what you want to be scouting in general, and then obviously the counter to whichever opener it is. So if we take a quick look here, we can see the Zerg player here actually went for a very fast hatchery. So if you see that, the hatchery is already down, but our opponent, well, on top of being supply blocked here, this is not a 16 hatch, 17 hatch sort of opener. This is very early, but when you scout with your SCV, it's gonna look normal. And as you can see here, they drop a spawning pool right away, but they haven't actually droned. They haven't built an overlord. They don't have the money for it, so they're obviously cutting drones and they're cutting some sort of supply here. And so the idea with this is that they're basically cutting their drones to get the links faster, but also trick you with the natural timing. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, basically when this SCV, the barracks SCV, so the SCV building the barracks, when the barracks SCV goes across the map, this is the worker that most people scout with, and you see creep here already at the natural, then that's supposed to mean a normal standard hatchery timing. But clearly we know that this is a bit faster of a hatchery timing. So when this SCV gets here, what you're going to see, it's going to run into a couple of lings. So right here, bam, SCV runs into a couple of lings. And this is actually not supposed to happen when it's a standard opener. When it's a standard hatchery opener, natural hatchery opener, the lings aren't supposed to be out yet. In fact, the lings aren't usually out until the Reaper gets there. So when you're SCV scouting like this and you run into the lings, at that point, you know that this has been, a faster pool variation, or even though the natural timing looks normal. Okay. Now what's the catch, right? So beyond just cutting drones and cutting OVs, what else is missing here? So we see that there's no gases in the natural, right? They do have money for a second queen, but they haven't started a second queen yet in the natural. But we see no gases in the main. Sorry, I think it's a natural. So we see no gases in the main, right? And obviously that means very delayed ling speed. So when you scout this and you scout this many ling, you have two options. Number one, you could just cancel this and build on the high ground, and that will still set you slightly behind. And personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that decision, but you could do it if you don't have confidence in your micro and your ability to kite with the Reaper and then build the Marines, then that's okay. The second option, which I think is a bit better, is to actually hold from the low ground. And what you want to do is, after building the Reaper, you very obviously are going to build a Marine, but you're actually going to build two Marines. So you're going to build one more Marine after this, before your reactor. You still want to build your factory, at the normal time. You can even pull some SCVs, like 3 SCVs or so, to help with this. And so you'll basically have 2 Marines, 1 Reaper, and about 3 SCVs, and you can kill these lings. Right? There's going to be a little bit of micro involved. You could hold positions the workers. You can kite the Marines a little bit, but 2 Marines, a Reaper, and 3 SCVs is plenty to actually hold this. Right? Because what'll happen here is if you just use the Reaper, even if you know it's coming, they can just ignore your Reaper and kill your SCV and your natural command center. So if you look at this, this Reaper, it's not actually going to be able to kill this. And you can tell, look how fast the lings are killing this. Sure, maybe he kills these 2 other lings as well, but you can see how it's just not enough DPS. and he's forced to cancel. So, but in reality, if you have the Reaper and 2 Marines, then their ability to cancel your natural command center is impossible. So, you might lose the Marine, you might even lose 2 Marines, right? But you're not going to lose the natural command center. You're going to be forced to cancel it, which means you're not going to be super behind, and then you'll be able to hold. So, a really important thing here, right, beyond just seeing the links come out, is that I always recommend that people, when they see something weird or strange or not quite understanding what's going on, to scout all the way into the main, right? And although that may sound obvious, a lot of people just don't do that. And I feel like it's just because, I don't know, like you get caught up in whatever you see in the moment, but you're not really thinking about what could happen in the next 2 minutes. What's the follow up, right? You're not really thinking about that kind of stuff. So it's really important that you get the whole picture of what's going on. So when this SCV comes in, I always recommend people SCV walk or mineral walk the SCV all the way into the main, right? Because this, obviously there's going to be no gases with this opener, but you want to actually see that. And when you go into the main and see no gases, you're going to feel a lot better because you're going to know that ling speed is going to be severely delayed. So if you hold something like this, right, relatively easily without really taking that much damage, you could in fact find a way to abuse this. The lack of gases, the lack of ling speed, right? You're actually going to have the whole picture of as to what's going on, right? Or maybe you go in here and you see that 2 gases are being taken, which is kind of a lot of gas at once. So you're going to be able to then see, okay, they need a lot of gas. What do they need gas for? So you're going to be able to think about what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes, right? While still being able to hold the 8 or 10 lings that are going across the map. So this one is a little bit tricky. But again, like, it's just the hatchery timing is gonna look normal, but the lings won't be. Okay, so if the hatchery timing looks normal with the SCV, but there's already lings across the map or going across the map, that is unusual. Okay, that is a faster pool opener. So we're gonna go to another video here, or another replay here real quick, where you're gonna see a more normal looking pool first opener. Well, this one wasn't actually a pool first; it was just a faster pool. But in the next video, you're actually gonna see, or in the next replay, you're gonna see an actual pool first, and then I'll explain what you want to do there. Okay, guys, so we're on our second replay here from the same person as well. So they were definitely encountering some absolute smudge in this ladder session. But they're going to go for the low ground Reaper opener. And we're going to quickly pass this. And we're going to actually pay attention to the Zerg, right? Because that's what we were looking at. So as you can see, there's no hatchery yet. So in the last game, we saw, already 40-second hatchery. But in this game, we're going to see a faster pool instead. But they're also building drones. Now, obviously, no gases yet, which is important because if they build the gas already, then they're going to want the extra gas faster. But they're going to go pool and then hatch and then gas, okay? So, and then you're going to see, obviously, they're not going to build any more drones because they want to build 6 lings. And then there they are, 6 lings and a gas. Now, this is actually really important, and this is going to be probably the most important part of this entire video, which is basically going to be the ling count, okay? So, with the normal pool first opener, the amount of lings that are built is a very important detail to note. Because if you build... Larva is very important, right? Larva is the macro mechanic of Zerg. So, if a Zerg player decides they want to spend all the larva on lings, which is going to be 6 lings here, then obviously they're not really thinking about using the larva for something else. Does that make sense? Like, they're... And not only that, but they're spending the money on building all 6 lings, right? Or 3 pairs of lings. So, an alternative to this would be like if they build only 2 lings, let's say. So they only build 2 lings and build 4 lings. Why would you go pool first and only build 2 or 4 lings? Well, you may be looking to deny the scout so that you could follow up with a faster roach warren or something like that. So you really want to pay attention to the ling count here. If, for example, I was in this position and I scouted 6 lings going across the map, yes, I want to scout what the follow-up is, but I may not necessarily be worried about a fast roach push because of the larva spent on the lings and the money spent on the lings, right? Because, this person could build a roach warren, faster roach warren instead. More drones or faster overlord or whatever it may be. In this case, they're going to build a lot of lings here. So they build 6 to send across, and they're continuously building more. And that's fine, right? Because they're looking to deny your command center, and that's why he's sending it this way. Now, as you can see, here we know it's pool first because this hatchery it's not finished yet, and there's no creep. Okay, so off the bat, you know what's going on here. No creep. The hatchery's not done yet, but we already see lings going across. The next step you want to do after this, right? So, obviously, if you can, really try to see how many lings are being built, because obviously, the more lings being built this early on, the better for you, so long as they're not getting ling speed. So, with the SCV scout, I want to see if the spawning pool is shaking. If the spawning pool is not shaking, that means they're not building ling speed, which means it's pretty easy to hold slow lings, right? Especially if you're opening with multiple reapers, like in this position here. So, and that's good, right? Because that means that it's not as an aggressive follow up. It's not as an aggressive opener because they're going to be missing the link speed. So it's very important to check that. Okay. The other thing you want to look for is the gas, which in this case we haven't been able to see. You want to pay attention to the gas because the gas is going to tell you a lot about what the Zerg is thinking about doing. And so when you send the SCV through here, on top of seeing the speed being built, they want to see about the gas. So if we click on the gas, we're gonna see 2198, right? So a geyser starts with 2250, and this geyser only has 2198. So as soon as it mines 2150, then it's reached 100 gas, which is how much you need to mine speed. At this point, many Zerg players will pull 2 drones off gas and leave 1 in the gas so that they have some sort of gas income, but they're going to have the link speed on the way, right? And that's important because we want to see if they get link speed. If they mine more than that 2150 and they do not pull off the gas, that could be a sign that they want to use the gas for a potential roach follow-up or a faster layer or something like this. So, and they might not build it while you're there because they obviously don't want you to see that, but it doesn't really make sense for a Zerg player to mine more than 100 gas and not start link speed, right? So you want to pay attention to this because it's a very important detail. It tells you a lot about what your opponent is thinking about doing in the next 2 minutes, which is what we talked about in the last replay, right? It's really important to try to see what's going on and plan ahead. So if I scout this and I see, no link speed being built, then I'm not really worried about an immediate follow-up. Obviously in the next minute, I want to scout again to see, what they're going to be doing, obviously. But at least for that 1 minute, I'm not like, oh shit, this guy's going to send 12 links with speed across the map and cancel my command center and kill my units, right? So that's what you want to be looking for. And then, as we can see, they're just building queens. They're building some drones, and then this replay is going to end in a little bit, and so we can see here that they are microing lings across the map. You can see they're still mining gas, and they haven't started speed. At this point, this is just a mistake. They're really focused on this and not actually multitasking here, or macroing. I think I got some drones going. So, and actually, will they even start it at all? Probably not. They start some more drones. So you can see that they're just playing macro, right? They're droning. They're not really looking for a roach warren. Their speed is a little bit late, most likely here, and that is not on purpose. And the lings here are really what he was trying to get damage done with. So, but like I said earlier, you really want to pay attention. You really want to follow up scout, because if he wasn't, microing these lings as much and realize that he can't win with these lings, then he would be trying to, frantically spend whatever gas he's floating, maybe on speed, maybe on the roach warren. We don't know. So always following up, repeat follow-ups are always going to be super important. But the biggest thing is going to be just sending this worker straight into the main and being able to catch what's going up. Because here, we see 2 lings going across, right? And so we know already it's a pool first. But when we go into the main, we see another 2 lings. And then we also see no larva. Okay? That's important. And more lings going across. So, and at this point, obviously, if you see pool first, what do? You keep the Reaper at home because you know that the lings are coming. So you're going to keep your unit at home regardless. And then just try it, with this worker. Don't be afraid to lose it. Try to scout as much as you can. And if you lose it, that's okay. As soon as you hold the initial 4, 6 lings, whatever it may be, then feel free to, send the Reaper across the map and or scan, and then just see what that transition is. But I really can't stress that enough. Scouting the transition is going to be insanely crucial. So, and that's honestly the transition from the pool first is what mostly kills people, I think. And so that's why I keep highlighting it. And yeah, so that's it for us today, guys. If you enjoyed this video or have any questions, give it a thumbs up and comment anyway. I don't know. And yeah, I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything, but I think that's it. I think that is it. Yeah. All right. I'll catch you guys next video. Peace.